Hello, I'm Simon.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Wikicast, a podcast where Wikipedia takes us to a random article each week and we talk about what we find. Dan, what are we talking about this week?
This week, Simon, we're talking about Angostura bitters.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Angostura bitters. Tell me more.
Yeah. Well, Angostura bitters is a concentrated bitters, a herbal alcoholic preparation based on gentian, herbs and spices. The House of Angostura in Trinidad and Tobago.
So bitters now, I had to admit, I initially thought it was going to be like ale. Because to be honest, I still don't quite understand why the word bitter isn't the first thing that comes to mind when I drink an ale anyway. But this is like it's almost like a liquor then, is it?
Kind of, yeah. So bitters is defined as a traditionally alcoholic preparation flavoured with botanical matter, so that the end result is characterised by a bitter, sour or bittersweet flavour.
Okay.
So one such bitter is Angostura.
And this is a family that's on, was it Trinidad?
Yeah, so it's made by the House of Angostura in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, right. Well, is there a history associated with this?
Let's have a look. So the recipe was developed as a tonic by a German called Johann Gottlieb Benjamin Siegert.
Flawless. It's like I'm in the room with a German person.
Perfect. Surgeon General in Simon Bolivar.
Oh,
yeah.
The Simon Bolivars?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Liberator.
And this was like, what, 19th century then? Early 19th century?
Yeah. So he started selling it in 1824, established a distillery for the purpose in 1830. It was based in the town of Angostura, now Ciudad Bolivar, and used locally available ingredients, perhaps aided by botanical knowledge of the local Amerindians. The product was sold abroad from 1853, and in 1875 the plant was moved from Ciudad Bolivar to the port of Spain, Trinidad, where it remains. Angostura won a medal in the... Oh God, here we go. Moses. The Weltausstellung, 1873 Wien, a large world exposition.
In Vienna, presumably.
Yeah. The medal is depicted on the oversized label on the bottle, along with the reverse, which shows Emperor Franz Joseph I of Austria in profile. The exact formula is a closely guarded secret, with only one person knowing the whole recipe, passed hereditarily.
Oh, it's like the KFC of drinks. Yeah. Special blend of herbs and spices. I suppose it literally is a blend of herbs and spices, actually.
Yeah. I mean, because I've got some Angostura bitters in the cupboard. It's very, very nice.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
Are you shitting me right now? Do you actually have something in your house that we randomised on Wikipedia?
Yeah, Angostura bitters is quite common.
Is it?
Yeah, you put it in Australia. There's a drink called a lemon and lime bitters. Which is really, really nice. But you can add it to things like gin and tonics, or just Angostura bitters and tonic water used to be our mutual friend Ed Dunn's one of his favourite drinks, till he forgot that it is actually alcoholic.
I'm looking at the bottle. It looks half familiar.
Yeah, and it's got this distinctive oversized label.
Yeah, it looks like there was an accident at the Worcestershire sauce factory or something like that, and the wrong label. Because the rest of the bottle looks a bit like, for those of you who are listening, rather than looking at my computer screen right now, it's a brown, tall bottle, quite thick, about the size of like a typical beer bottle, and then the label extends probably about 2 inches higher than it should. When we say oversized, it's like vertically oversized. And the contents look like Worcester sauce. They're like a deep brown. I don't think I've ever had it.
It's very tasty.
So what does it remind you of? What flavours does it elicit?
Oh, I don't know. It's kind of got its own. There's a kind of tartness to it, or like a bittersweet, like it described. It's more of a Angostura bitters is extremely concentrated and may be an acquired taste. Though 44.7% alcohol by volume, bitters are not normally ingested undiluted, but instead are used in small amounts of flavouring. So you get them in cocktails. So in an old fashioned, there's usually Angostura bitters, and a Manhattan,
right,
Pico sour, champagne cocktails. But yeah, I think I have some in the fridge.
What is it? So what is it? Would you be willing to taste it neat and tell us what it tastes like when you just have nothing else with it?
I can, yeah. So hang on, I'll be back in a minute.
Go on.
Raid the cupboard and see if it's there.
Well, hello, dear viewers. It's a rare time that I get to spend with just you on my own. I definitely called you viewers, didn't I? Sorry, I'm all over the place. I've got a very busy day today. I'm doing 2 videos. I'm going to Bristol to film tomorrow with my favourite YouTube channel. We'll get onto this. And yeah, I'm just a bit stressed out, really. Oh, boy. Not
right.
here. Really.
I was indeed correct. Here's the bottle.
Ooh, okay, this is exciting. We've got a live tasting.
So, I wonder if there is a... I'm going to read you what it says on the bottle first.
Okay.
So, Angostura aromatic bitters was first made in 1824 by that guy we were just talking about. And maybe
is that what it says on the bottle? Please tell me that's what it says.
I'm paraphrasing. May be distinguished from all other aromatic bitters by its fine flavour and aromatic odour. All the principal international exhibitions... At the principal international exhibitions, it's received the highest recognition because of its delightful flavour and aroma. It's become extremely popular to use in soft drinks, cocktails, and alcoholic beverages. It also imparts an exquisite flavour to soups, salads, vegetables, gravies, fish, meat, fruit juices, grapefruit, mixed cut fruits, stewed prunes, stewed figs, preservative fruits, jellies, sherbet, water ices, ice cream, sauces for puddings, hard sauces, plum pudding, mince pies, fruit paste, applesauce, and all similar desserts.
Jesus!
Hell.
Is there anything you can't add this thing to?
I think you can just chuck it in anything. I did not know that you could use it in food.
Or an ice cream?
Soups, salads, vegetables, gravies, fish, meat, fruit juices, grapefruit, mixed cut fruit, stewed prunes, stewed figs, preserved fruits, jellies, sherbets, water ices, ice cream, sauces for puddings, hard sauces, plum pudding, mince pies, fruit pies, applesauce, and all other similar desserts.
So they actually have a section of their website, on the Angostura website. I'm just going to put in my date of birth so I can access it, which is food recipes. So, for example, there's a recipe here for pulled pork sliders with Angostura bitters.
Oh, I bet that's delicious.
Which is, oh my god. Yeah, it's an Angostura chili rub and a sauce. Which has quite a bit of this stuff in. Okay, right. So, can you have a little nip for us? Well, first of all, what does it smell like? When you open the bottle, what does it smell like?
Okay, here we go. So, I'm unscrewing the lid as we speak.
Thrilling entertainment.
It smells like Angostura bitters. So it smells like an alcoholic mince pie filling.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can
that kind of a
that.
smell. So you can smell all the kind of the various different spices and yeah, the closest thing I can describe to the smell of is the filling for mince pies. But you can smell that there's clearly a lot of alcohol in it because it's got quite a kick, and it's 44.7% alcohol.
Is it quite a Christmassy drink? Like, is it something you would have at Christmas?
No, it's not like... So I would think of a Christmassy drink as something like Cointreau, the orange liqueur.
Yeah.
Angostura you can have all year round, but I imagine it would go very well when you're making Christmassy things because it's got this spiciness, you know.
Okay, right. So that's the smell. Give us a little... Have a little... Well, not a swig, but have a little tipple. What does it taste like?
I'll try one bit more.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's very, very strong.
Well, it's neat.
So it hits your tongue, and it's almost got a menthol quality. It kind of not numbs it, but you get like a. There's so many herbs that you can taste in it too. It's so many spices. I mean, so hang on, I'll try once more. Right.
Even song's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so you get the kind of the bite of alcohol. It's really quite strong, but then I can taste like cloves, I think, and yeah, the kind of spices that you would find in mincemeat. So there's this kind of a cinnamoniness probably there too, but then there's also things like I can almost taste like cardamom. So it's got like a curry, not explicitly curry-y, but the kind of spices when you're making a curry and you kind of like you toast off some of your spices in the pan beforehand, you get that kind of an aroma. It's got like a heat. It's very tasty.
I honestly, I mean, this is interesting to me because I don't think I've ever had it. Would it be fair to say it's more of an old person's drink?
I don't think so. I think it's a cocktail cabinet essential. In fact, I need to move it to the cocktail cabinet. But yeah, we've usually had Angostura biscuits in the house, just because we, as I say, we can use them for cocktails, or just putting it into tonic water or sparkling water.
Sorry, should we put it back? I don't want you to get in trouble with James.
Yeah, no, that's right. I'll kind of like a little bit more actually. Be good, Dan. Be good.
What have I started?
Well, see, I'm trying to be sensible because I've got to be up. Well, I know that I'm going to have quite a lot of mulled wine tonight because it's the opening of the Christmas market, Exeter Cathedral's Christmas market, which is absolutely brilliant. You should go if you're in Exeter. You absolutely should go. Or indeed wider Devon. Make a trip down because it's absolutely super. But yes, it opens tonight. And I've been watching all week they started building it last week and more people are kind of coming in, but it should be really fun. The cathedral choir are singing. I think they've got Semitoned and Sweet Nothings from the university, two other a cappella groups singing as well. There's loads of stuff going on, but it should be
maybe don't go on the first night if I was to give some advice to the audience, because when I went, it was like the Battle of the Bastards. It was unbelievably crowded. Last year it was unsafe basically, but yes, you got to be careful. You can't have too much of this stuff. Do you want to go get, have you got the chili chocolate to hand? We could do a live tasting of that.
Sure.
Let's just do a Dan taste things in the house episode.
Okay, hang on, I'm going to go and put this back in the drinks cabinet and then I'll go and get the chocolate.
This will be a brief interlude, dear reader. I hope you're doing well. I'm currently writing out questions onto note cards for a quiz which I'm doing with Hat Films tomorrow, which are rather professional, if I may say so myself. But a bit of a work to get them done. Are you back?
Right, I'm back. I've got. Can you hear that?
Ooh,
got the chocolate.
Oh God! I was angry the fact that you ate some before I could. I won't lie. I'm now just jealous.
So I'm going to try and describe to you the chocolate as well. Not only is its taste, but I'm going to try and give you an idea of what the pack's like. And incidentally, if you go to my Twitter at Daniel J Moore, I uploaded a photo of what the packs look like. But I'll do my best to paint a verbal picture. For those of you who may be new, by the way, to the Wikicast, true, yes. This is from Theo Chocolate, which is a company that we randomised on in a previous episode. And then it turned out that there was somebody, it was Vignesh, who was able to buy some. I can't remember if they actually lived in it was Seattle, wasn't it, that it was made? I can't remember if he lived there or if he could just get access to some. He bought us some and sent it to Dan at the cathedral. Just why we have this and why it blows my mind that this is a thing which actually happened. That's why we're doing this. And Dan, what is it? What is it like? Well, so I'm currently holding the pack as you can hear. It's about the size of the old iPod Nanos. So not the really small square ones, but the long, thin, rectangular ones. So it kind of fits comfortably in the palm of your hand. It's a small kind of little taster block, if you like. It's not like a normal big block size of chocolate. But we got 4 of these, 2 of which will be given to Simon when I next see him. Yes. There is a translucent kind of wax paper seal around the chocolate. And then over the top of that, there is an orange strip of another form of kind of wrapper that has the Theo chocolate branding. So it says Theo Ghost Chili Dark Chocolate. There is then a picture of about 7 chilies on the bottom. It's 28 grams, it's a 1 ounce bar, and on the back it says, "We blend what is said to be the hottest chili in the world, the ghost chili, with our 70% dark chocolate. We balance the heat and round out the flavour with other chilies, orange zest and sea salt. This bar is hot stuff." It's all organic and fair trade. The ingredients list is incredibly short because it's cocoa beans, cane sugar, cocoa butter, 3 different types of chilies, ground vanilla bean, orange zest, sea salt. Well, that's the way it should be. Yeah, right? You want it to be nice and concise. So what colour is the chocolate? Okay, so I'm going to open the pack now. I'm going to hold it near the microphone so you can hear it. Ooh. It's like someone snapping my bones. This is the orange bit being removed. I'm now down to the kind of the wax and paper. Yeah, take it off. Take it off, you slag. Okay. I'm taking it off now. So The chocolate itself is very, very dark. It's, as I said, it's 70% what did they say? 70% dark chocolate. It's quite thick. It's got quite a heft to it. I've now just turned the bar over so I can see where normally the design would be on each block, but they're just two very smooth, very shiny tops. It's got a lovely temper, I believe, is the term when talking about chocolate. So it's got a lovely sheen, a lovely Michael sheen.
I was literally just about to say that.
I'm going to bite off a corner now, which you should hopefully be able to hear.
Oh,
And
we'll let you know here's some ASMR, folks.
What goes on? Right, here we go.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so the first thing that's most striking is that it's incredibly smooth. It's really smooth. I can feel a bit of heat already on the tongue. It's just kind of like a warmth that's kind of working its way back across the back of my tongue and down my throat.
Oh god, someone isolate that clip. Dan at leisure, in pleasure.
Okay, I've swallowed because I'm a good girl.
Oh, someone's going to take that out of context. Yeah. Forehead, do it.
So the chocolate's now gone. The heat is just building up in my mouth more and more. Now it's absolutely bearable. Like it's not so hot that it's silly.
Now I just feel ashamed.
But yeah, it's really smooth. I can taste the kind of an orangey sweetness. There's also a kind of a bit of salt there as well, which goes super well with dark chocolate. But I think what they said on the back of the packet is so true. They've rounded out and balanced the heat and kind of and it's really good chocolate. It's really nice. I had a friend actually, funnily enough, who brought me some Psycho chocolate, which is chili dark ginger beer chocolate.
Oh, I bet that's nice.
And that's got bits of ginger and actual bits of pepper flakes on the top of the bar. And I tried that, and that blew my head off. That was really spicy. But this is just a whole other kettle of fish. It's really smooth. Theo chocolate, if you're listening, I'm seriously impressed. It's absolutely delicious.
Mr. Chocolate, if you're listening.
Yeah, it's delicious. I think you'll really like it.
I'm really looking forward to having some. It's got to be said. I don't know when I'm next going to be down in Exeter, actually, because obviously I came down for that talk. I know when I'm next going to be down in Exeter. It's for my graduation.
Aha, December.
In December, yeah. That's like a month. I'm going to be officially a doctor in a month.
Madness.
Oh, that is scary. I hadn't because I've always said I've refused to call myself Dr. Simon Clark, apart from on Twitch, twitch.tv/Dr. Simon Clark, until I graduate, because I feel like it's just not proper. But oh god, it's actually going to happen. Good God! Stop eating all of it. I'm
putting it away. I'm folding it.
Yeah,
up.
I can tell you're putting it away.
Right. Okay, it's away now.
It's away. Oh no! Wait, it just impacted on the surface of my mouth.
Oh, it's lovely.
God, yeah. Yes, I can pick it up from you when I come down for graduation. So that'd be fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, the article. Is there anything else interesting about the bitters that we can talk about from the article? We learned a little bit about the history.
Angostura bitters are alleged to have restorative properties.
Oh, okay.
It was reported to be a remedy for hiccups and is thought to be a cure for an upset stomach. It's often incorrectly believed to have poisonous qualities. Oh God, this is me who's been supping it straight. Have poisonous qualities because it's associated with Angostura bark, although it doesn't actually contain any, which, although not toxic, during its use as medicine was often adulterated by unscrupulous sellers who padded out the sacks of bark with cheaper poisonous copalchi bark.
Oh, okay.
In 2007, Angostura also started producing Angostura Orange, which is an orange bitters.
What is your favourite drink, do you think? As in, not beer, because I know that's Doombar. But what is your favourite alcoholic beverage, as a genre? Okay,
I'm going to go with. Can we refine it to cocktails?
Yeah, well, liquors.
Yeah. Okay then. Well, I'm a massive gin person.
You are indeed,
as we've discussed. I had the other day I'm if I see a Bloody Mary on a cocktail menu, I will usually order a Bloody Mary because I absolutely adore those. Because you can have it's like a breakfast cocktail too, so you can have it whenever, but it's acceptable to drink in the morning if you're having a Bloody Mary.
You know, between that and you constantly nipping at the Angostura bitters bottle this episode, I feel like some questions need to be asked about your drinking habits.
Yeah, I'm basically an alcoholic, as I think most students are. But no, Bloody Marys are superb. However, I did have the other day at the South Street Standard, which is an amazing pub. Well, not really a pub. It's like a bar that also does food, the food of which is unbelievably good. It's usually where Cathedral Choir go after on a Friday evening or on a Sunday evening. Anyway, I went there and they've released some new cocktails on their cocktail menu, one of which they do a really good Bloody Mary, but they also did a maple pecan old-fashioned.
Oh, okay.
So
very
it's
Canadian.
Like, yeah, it's like all the makings of an old-fashioned with a kind of maple pecan liqueur added just at the top. And it is the most delicious, festive, Christmassy. It was just insane. It was delicious. I had far too many of those, but it was, very, very nice indeed. What about you? What would you say your favourite?
As a genre, I mean, if we're limiting it to hard alcohols, definitely whiskey. Like I'm very partial to port when the occasion is right. Like when we were at Christmas the other New Year's even a couple of years ago. Yes, and we got through a lot of port. Yeah. But just like whiskey, either in cocktails or best of all, just neat. Like I'm a big single malt fan. If anyone's ever stumped for what to buy me for a present, single malt is very appreciated. In fact, it's a holiday idea that Pixel Girl and I want to do. Maybe next summer, actually, go around Scotland like on a road trip and just go from distillery to distillery and do all the tours and tasting sessions. Big fan of whiskey. But apart from that, I don't know. I haven't drunk enough of the full spectrum. Let's say. I feel like I should probably expand my my personal menu a little bit. You're better versed than I am, I think, but just by nature, from the sounds of things, of being in a cathedral choir, you're just exposed to alcohol. But tell you what I've been doing whilst we've been talking. Sorry, I still can't shift this cough. So I'm filming with Hat Films tomorrow.
Clang.
And Clang. Drop that name. And the video probably won't be out by the time this comes out. I imagine they're not going to release it on Saturday morning. But I have basically what I'm doing with them is a science game show. And the final round is some quick fire science facts, but science facts which are based around Hat Films-esque memes. So stuff which has happened on their channel, and what I've got is these flashcards with Hat Films logo printed on the back, and then I've been writing out the questions which I've been developing. I just want to make sure I haven't pitched these too hard because I may need to rethink the quiz. Okay. So because I feel like you probably have a similar knowledge of science that these guys are going to have. Okay. So I'm going to hit you with the first few of these rapid fire questions. Sure. Okay. Right. I'm just going to shuffle the cards. There we go. Right, question 1. Which animal is prognat for the longest period?
Oh, I know. I do know this. Is it a kind of? Is it something that lives in the sea?
No.
Okay, maybe I don't know this.
It's an African elephant. They are prognat for 95 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
So like nearly 2 years. That sucks. Anyway, which animal is pregaunt for the shortest period?
What does pregaunt mean?
They're all the ways that, there's that famous video of like girls misspelling pregnant.
Oh, I see.
It's like pregnant,
I see.
pregaunt.
Okay, what was the question?
Which animal is pregaunt for the shortest period?
Is this something that lives in the sea?
Nope.
Okay.
Because most things that live in the sea lay eggs, to be fair.
Yeah, I was thinking whales and sharks, they have live births, don't they?
Yes, they do. The animal which is pregnant for the shortest period of time is the hamster. Between 16 and 23 days.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Literally multiplying like rabbits, so to speak. This is one of my favourites. Question 3. After 4 months of being Thor Ragnarok, what biological process does a baby inside a human female start to do?
Grow fingernails?
It starts to urinate.
Oh.
So it pees inside the woman, and then it proceeds to drink its own urine.
Wow.
Disgusting.
What a life.
Can disgusting.
Well, it
was all of us.
One, I guess.
It was all of us.
Yeah.
We all drank our own urine in the womb.
That's nice.
Right, so hopefully easier ones. How many gas giants are there in the solar system?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. There's 2? 1?
There's 4, Daniel.
Oh, okay.
There's Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune.
Yeah.
Not Venus, which Smith famously thought was a gas giant.
That's so weird. The first thing I thought of was Venus.
Really?
Yeah.
He's been infecting people's minds with
Yeah,
his
he really
terrible
has.
science. Last 2 ones. Give your answer in Spanish. What is 420 to the power of 0?
0?
Uno.
Uno. Uno.
Good, consistent Uno.
Good. Yeah. Nice.
And then, actually, this is quite an interesting one. Which planet in the solar system has the longest day?
Would it be the largest planet?
You can guess that if you want.
That makes me think it's not right. So the largest.
I can hear
would be
you googling.
I'm literally not typing anything.
I definitely heard you typing that.
I put my hands on my keyboard. That you might have heard that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Uranus.
Uranus has... It's actually, for such a big planet, it's a surprisingly short day. Uranus's day only lasts 17 hours. The
weird.
longest day is noted gas giant Venus. So it has a day that lasts 116 Earth days.
F***ing hell.
Yeah. And
so it hardly spins at all.
Yeah, it spins very slowly. And for both Venus and Mercury, the day is longer than the year because it takes longer for the planets to rotate than it does to go around the sun. Oh, wait, that is definitely true for Mercury. I'm actually not sure if that's true for Venus. And then Jupiter, which is our largest planet, its day is only 9 hours and 56 minutes long.
Wow.
So there we go. Okay, so that's good then. That's like hopefully they're about the right level that they can at least have a crack at them.
Yeah.
They were. Hang on, I swear there are some good ones that are later on. Oh yeah, this is a fun one. Doctors now regularly grow skin grafts for burn victims from which readily available source of excess skin?
The bum.
Yeah, I had to look up multiple sources to make sure this wasn't bullshit. Circumcised baby foreskins.
Wow.
Apparently, one foreskin on average gives you about 23,000 square meters of grafting skin.
Jesus.
So you can like grow, presumably because like their baby cells, they grow easier or something like that, and it's just a readily available source. So yeah, that's if you have a skin
it's
graft.
It's like how umbilical cords are really, really valuable, aren't they? Because they contain so many stem cells.
Yeah. Yeah. So that if you want, if
that's
you
nice.
guys
That's
were
put me
interested,
off my lunch. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, sorry about that. If you guys,
he says reaching for the Angostura bitters.
I need more of this. If you guys are interested in that, you should check out the video I'm doing with the hats. It should be really, really fun. Should we move on, Dan, to your choral piece of the week?
Oh, yes. I have to have a think. And this will be my piece of the week. Drum roll, please.
So this week was Remembrance.
Yes, it was.
And presumably you did a lot of singing for Remembrance Sunday,
I did indeed.
Right. Would one of your pieces of the week be from your cathedral services?
Well, I'm thinking we had I mentioned the De Rufflet Requiem.
You did.
And that was really nice, and we sang that for the service of the faithful departed, which was very, very pleasant. What I might do is, given it's the opening of the Christmas market tonight in Exeter, I might give a Christmassy themed piece.
It's the 15th of November,
yeah,
Daniel.
But it's the opening of the market, and it's not like a carol.
Okay.
So I think it's acceptable.
Right, go on then. What is your piece of the week?
I need to check out to spell it because it's really weird. So, my Christmas week, my choral piece. Oh, there's the bitters.
We've already begun. Evensong is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. My choral piece of the week is a piece by the composer Francis Pott. That's Pott. and it features on the Voces 8 album Winter that they released in 2016.
Yeah, I know it very well.
The song is called Balulalo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also a movement in Britain's Festival of Carols.
Yes.
Oh God, is that the name of it? Britain Carols? I can't remember. I recorded it. Ceremony of Carols. That's it. Oh my God! If you actually search Britain Carols, the first video that you get come up on YouTube is the one that I recorded of St Peter's College choir.
Really?
That's funny.
That's mad.
But yes, Balulalo. Okay, by Pot.
The I'm going to read you the lyrics because it's not super Christmassy, but it's Christmassy enough. So the lyrics are: "Oh my dear heart, young Jesus sweet, prepare thy cradle in my spirit," supposed to be like spirit, "and I shall rock thee to my heart, and never more from me depart, and I shall praise thee evermore." But yeah, and it goes on. But it's
Is the melody for that the one that goes, "Oh my dear heart"?
Yes,
yeah.
It is, and it's got this nice amazing bass line. The bass in it is just absolutely stunning.
What did you do for Remembrance, by the way? What was your actual Remembrance Sunday like?
We sang a very, very difficult mass setting, which was the
Frank Martin?
No, Richard Rodney Bennett.
That is not a real name.
Yeah, Richard Rodney Bennett's Missa Brevis. It's really good. In fact, actually, I might stick in listen to the Gloria of that. In fact, Simon, hold that thought. I want you to listen to the first 40 seconds of this, and you'll get an idea of what I mean by difficult. Listen to the harmony and listen to what the rhythm does, because it goes from it goes into 7/8 into 5/8 into 3/2 into, it's just mad.
Okay, readers, there's going to be a cut here whilst I have this life-changing experience. Bear with me. I like it a lot.
It's very good. I really like it, but it was bloody hard. There were sections where there was one bit where I didn't sing for about a page because I just didn't know what to do. Every note you try and sing, or every note I thought of, sounded wrong, and that's the point. But I just went, actually, you know what? I'm not going to be any help here. I'm going to wait until I can pitch off the trebles again and go from there, because it was it was very difficult. It's cool. So
did you do 2 services on Sunday then? Because normally in the morning it's a matins.
I actually did 4.
4 services in a day.
Yeah, so we had Eucharist in the morning, and then we had the event of remembrance at the Devon War Memorial, which is the one that's opposite the cathedral west doors, that big stone column.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then after that we had the remembrance service, which usually takes the form of matins, but this wasn't matins proper. It was just a kind of a morning service. We sang "They Are at Rest." What's that? "Greater Love Hath No Man" by Ireland.
Oh yeah.
And I think something really easy as well, like Locus Iste as a processional. And then Evensong, we did Howls in G, and this. Oh yeah, that's a point. We did Howls in G, and then the anthem Michael sang this massive solo, and we kind of came in, and it was the Agnus Dei from Britain's War Requiem.
Oh yeah.
Which has a tenor solo throughout, and it is bloody difficult. I would have been terrified to do that. And I think even Michael was it was hard. You know,
I was going to say, I'm guessing that he was probably not even breaking a sweat, but even he has his limits sometimes.
Yeah, it was just insane, and he hadn't done it before, so I think he'd basically looked at it the day before.
Classic.
But it was just. It was a beautiful piece, but really atonal. But yeah, very, very good. But that was the music for Remembrance.
Because I Pixel Girl and I went to Trinity College, Cambridge.
Oh, nice.
She was in Cambridge already from the night before. She went to a party, and so we went to see Trinity College Choir, and they were just fantastic.
Yeah,
they were so it's like when I can't remember if you actually saw Tenebrae or not for the Path of Miracles.
Oh yeah,
concert.
I did.
Yeah, and it's like how when you listen to the recordings of them and you think this must be well engineered, they're going to be tweaked and just they sound fantastic on this recording. But then when you hear them live, they're exactly the same.
Yeah, they do.
Because
they're just good.
they're just that great. And that was the same with Trinity. It was so together. Like, everything was so spot on. Although I don't know how they were so together, considering the direction they were getting from Stephen Layton. As far as I can tell, he was giving them cool direction. Apart from the ends of words, during the middle of phrases, he was just waving his arms around with no relation to the music at all. But yeah, that was good. They did the Howells Colreg Te Deum.
Oh, nice.
Which was a great piece, really great piece. But sorry, so that was 2 services, or was that 3 services from you now? Or did you do, what
4.
else did you do?
4 for remembrance.
Yeah.
Eucharist, Mark of Remembrance, Remembrance Service, Evensong. And then this evening we have the Piccolo responses.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very nice. Brewer in D, Banger in D, and Te Luce Ante Terminum by Tallis.
Tallis.
Oh no, not Te Luce Ante, Onata Lux.
Oh, that's a nice one. That's underrated, I think. That's a lovely piece. Right, we should probably move on from choral pieces, because I think like this was only meant to be a very short corner, and we've hijacked it.
Yes. So to summarise briefly, Richard Rodney Bennett, Mass, the Missa Brevis. Look it up. There'll be a link. Listen to the Gloria. It's really cool. And Balulalo by Francis Pott.
Fantastic stuff. Now on to Critics' Corner. I mean, I suppose I've already been critical of Trinity College Choir, specifically the music director. Actually, that's something that I did, which you weren't able to come to. I offered you, but you couldn't make it. Was the going to see 2001?
Oh yes,
in the Science Museum in 70mm. First film I think I've ever seen in 70mm, actually. Which was an interesting experience, because it wasn't a digital like remastering of the film or anything. It was trying to be as close as possible to what people saw in 1969, I think. Which meant that like some stuff did see, like the composition of like really complicated scenes, some of the things seem to be like a little bit misaligned, which is like fine. But what I did notice was there were like specks of, because the way that compositing worked before we had digital compositors, where you would literally be like combining the image from multiple strips of film onto one master strip of film. And so if you got, like, it was an actual machine, and so there was the potential for stuff to get caught in it. And there was a section about half an hour into the film where I noticed there was very obviously a nasal hair, like a short curly nasal hair that was making its way down the print. Like it got stuck in the machine, and it was just gradually migrating down the frame for like a good like 10 seconds.
That's quite funny.
I was like, that's unfortunate. That took me out of the film a little bit. But it was incredible. Like it was the first time I've seen 2001 all the way through. This is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Sorry for the readers at home. Since probably like 2008, something like that, when I watched it on a tiny 4:3 screen. So to see it in the cinema was spectacular, and it was unbelievably loud, like physically painfully loud at points. But it was really, really, really awesome. At the Science Museum IMAX is just a vast screen. And it was nice actually that it was the same aspect ratio, because it was IMAX, and so it's that aspect ratio. There weren't any black bars,
right?
So the whole screen was just filled with the film, which was kind of like a neat little touch actually. Also, what was also a neat touch was the fact that they're using a 70mm projector. You actually could hear the projector. You hear this like.
Oh, that is cool.
Whereas obviously in digital cinema, you're so used to it being perfectly quiet apart from the film. In a way, I think that is better for certain kinds of films, certainly, but this definitely like added to the experience of being there in the moment. That was awesome. Have you seen anything recently?
Oh, I watched the new installment in the Louis Theroux documentary series. He's doing a new series on BBC Two.
Was
Altered
this about
States.
Polygamy?
Polyamory.
Yeah, because we watched that as well. Pixel and I watched it. What did you think?
Oh, it was really good. I wasn't at all surprised by the fact that it was really good, because he's a brilliant documentary maker. I'm looking forward to this. Another one coming up about being able to take your own life as part. If you have a terminal illness, or you have an illness that causes you a certain amount of pain in certain states, and it's only recently been passed in California, you can take a cocktail of drugs, if you like, to take your own life. But if you're in extreme amount of pain, but it's not terminal, you're not allowed to do that. And there are these people who go around and basically teach you how you can take your own life in a non-painful, ethical way. That would be a really heavy one. And then I think there's another one on adoption. So I'm looking forward to that. I've discovered one of my new favourite things on Twitter in relation to Louis Theroux.
Oh, is this out of context Louis?
No, it's the Louis Theroux bot.
Oh, what? Oh, I've got to
Yeah.
have a look at this.
So there's a bot that basically comes up with documentary ideas for Louis Theroux. So it's called Louis Theroux bot. So for instance, today, 7 hours ago, I'm in Indiana to meet Alexander, a former fishmonger turned presidential candidate who believes magnets make swans racist.
Followed.
It's really very funny.
I'm in Belgium to meet Benjamin, a former professor turned fundamentalist nun who believes fluoride is turning frogs gay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, and he's seen it himself, described as pretty funny by Louis Theroux.
Yeah. There's a video on Louis Theroux's. Yeah, he actually read it out. He read out some of their stuff.
Oh, that's good. Because there's also Out No Context Louis, which is that was like my favorite one. Was he did one on brain injuries, and there's just this screenshot of him with the subtitle. So, did you support Arsenal before the head injury?
Yeah. Actually, here we go. This is Louis Theroux reading out one of the bot.
I'm in Amsterdam to meet Hannah, a former IT expert turned cybergoth who believes Hull is a portal to hell.
Amazing delivery as well.
Yeah, it's very, very fine.
So, what did you think of the polyamory one then? Because that was
I found it quite endearing. I found it quite hard to grasp. And interestingly, James, my housemate, and we had a very, very long debate afterwards as to our thoughts on the whole polyamory thing. And I think we both concluded that it was quite hard to understand because it fundamentally kind of not opposes, but must be in conflict with the vast majority of people's ideas of a relationship.
Yeah.
But I found it really quite heartwarming by the end of it, and
I did at points. There was that one guy who basically he was married to his wife, and then his wife was in a relationship with somebody else at the same time, and all the parties claimed they were happy. But just like looking at him, you were like, "You're not a happy man." Like I feel like she's just got into your brain and convinced you that you're happy.
Yeah,
because
it was interesting.
Yeah, like the house where it was in, like, it was the most Portland thing imaginable. It was like Portland, Oregon, and they were all like 20-something, all in polyamorous relationships, and they did some like couples yoga. They worked as like herbalist healers or something like that. It was just the most Portland thing imaginable. They seemed to be relatively happy, and that was where the sequence where he went to a sexual food party.
Yes.
Can you describe what that was all about?
So he went, and it was basically kind of like for feeders, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know if it was necessary, because feeders, the whole point is to make somebody fat.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas I feel like it was an erotic act of eating. It was sex by proxy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can. Louis Theroux strips off at a sensual eating party. So it's just you take it in turns. You're either somebody who's helping feed the food. You strip down to your underwear, and they made a point of saying there was no genital exposure or touching to be done.
Yeah,
because that would be in poor taste.
I just wagged a finger at the microphone then, as if you could see it. I was like, no, but that would be in poor taste. Exactly. We're British.
So Louis was feeding people at the beginning, and then he took his clothes off, sat cross-legged, put a blindfold on, and was slowly fed. He was fed a lot of cheese, wasn't he?
Yes.
He said, but towards the end of it, he kind of liked it though, didn't he?
Well, I mean, it's a win-win. You get all these like people around you who are having a good time, and you get fed.
So there's somebody feeding you, and there might be somebody behind you, kind of like massaging you, or kind of rubbing your back, or just kind of being close to you.
But with other people, they were like full on making out. They were like pleasuring people's. If they were female, they were like pleasuring their boobs and things like that.
Yeah, it suddenly it became far more kind of.
It was a
erotic
demi orgy.
Yeah, it was. It became, there was a level of orgy. It's a big old orgy.
But yeah, it was an interesting watch. Like he's just so awkward. Like he was like at the start when everyone was feeding each other, he was kind of awkwardly off to the side.
He just kept looking at the camera, being like, "What's going on?"
And he made a point of the fact that he called his wife beforehand.
Yeah.
To get permission, basically. Yeah, it was. If you haven't watched this on iPlayer, if you're in the UK, it's definitely
really worth watching.
Top lad. And so we find ourselves in Patreon Corner, the corner where we'd like to say a brief thank you to all the people who have supported the show, make it possible for us to pay for our hosting, to make a monthly donation to Wikipedia, or the Wikimedia Foundation, and also to basically allow us to squirrel money away for trains to go and film with each other, which we will hopefully be able to do soon. This is patreon.com/the Wikicast. You can donate money there on a monthly basis. We literally don't want more than $5 a month. We don't want that kind of responsibility. But the people who do donate $5 a month are our top lads, and we'd like to say a special thank you to them. Who are they, Daniel?
So we kick off with Ben Dent, Ben McMurtry, and Billy Toulson.
Choco Cat, Connor Levers, and the one, the only, Dan Hanvey.
Love you, Dan. Got Davi Shram Vontabel, Elliot Conway, and Eric Davis.
Bryce D. Wilkins, Habiba Amjad, and Henry Brewster.
Isabel Ostrovsky, Jay Wright, and John Mannion.
Geordie Eschendahl, Carl Much, Lachlan Woods.
Lewis Watson, Marut Vakira Punyawat, and Matt Maguire.
Isn't it funny how we struggled with that name so much when we started, but now we can say Lewis Watson so easily. It's barely even any effort. But in addition, we also have Fee Gascoigne, Rory Healy, and Simon Torseth.
And then I believe it's
Tapio Kirkinen.
The Moustache Man, and Whitney Fairies.
And last but by no means Leafs. Last but by no means Leafs. It's the wonderful Stephen.
Very nice. Thank you, Stephen.
But if those $5 a month to patreon.com/the Wikicast is too rich for your blood, you can also donate just $1 a month. We have 2 categories for that, Team Cat and Team Dog, trying to determine once and for all which is the best household pet. And it's the same as it has been for a while, Dan, isn't it?
Yep, 35-27 in favour of Team Dog. We've got a strong lead ahead there, which is marvellous.
Strong lead on your walk.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Just if we reach $200 a month, we're currently on $175 a month for the show, then we're going to up our support to Wikimedia to £50 a month. At the moment, it's £20 a month. So I think that actually would result from here to there in a net loss to us. But please, it's an important cause to support. We probably all owe our respective educations to the Wikimedia Foundation. Nobody donates to it anyway, so let us do that on your behalf.
Yes.
Top lad.
So we're back in Crisis Corner, and for those who tuned in last week, you'll hopefully remember that we had a really interesting crisis this week. It was a bit of a relationship dilemma.
It was a spicy one, yes.
Yeah, a Nonna Goose emailed in, and basically this person is in a relationship with another person, but it's a long-term thing, I think. Is that right?
Long distance, and they have been together for a while.
Yeah, they've been together for 4 years strong and still going. However,
potentially not for much longer.
They're both having a gap year, and on this gap year, a Nonna Goose has met another lovely person. They really click with them, and there's definitely a connection. They have feelings of attraction, butterflies. They were wondering if they were feeling wrong for feeling these things. And Anonagu says, the thing is, though, I can't help thinking that a life with this person would be better than the one I'm in a relationship now. So we actually have some responses in to us from our wonderful readership. So shall we kick off with some of the thoughts that people have on this situation?
We do, and I'm delighted to say that we have a response from a love expert. They self-identify as a love expert. This is a Nonna-Love who writes, Dear Papa Clark and Father Moore. I really like that. My take on this relationship crisis is that this is a common thing to occur in long-distance relationships, and it's a common reason why they don't tend to work. One may need physical closeness, or another may just move on in nature. There isn't anything wrong if you do move on. However, I believe it would be wrong to break up with a girl just to date another, and... Hang on, what? And I've seen it happen before, and it can be a messy mistake if you choose to do it. My advice would be, as her man, you should probably arrange a decent period of time where you can be with your girl and see your feelings from then on with her, and see if she is completely connected to you, because it may just be a long distance thing, not that the other girl is the girl. Because after all, it is slightly difficult to have a strong relationship when being physically separated and exposed to other options. Now, before we sort of give our response, I think we have... Do you want to read out the other response we've had to this?
Yes. So we have our next response is from another Canadian Anonymous, And they go on to say, "Hi, Simon and Dan and Anony Goose. As a somewhat veteran of long distance relationships, I thought I'd give some advice about this week's crisis. I think it's always important to remember that being in a relationship, long distance or otherwise, is a choice first and foremost. Love and attraction is obviously important, but maintaining a connection with a person is about choosing to invest in them and your relationship. It's not about having exclusive feelings for someone or pretending that no one else is there. So you're not wrong for thinking that someone else is attractive. What you need to decide is how or even if to stay in your relationship given these feelings. As I see it, you have three major options. All of them begin with telling your current girlfriend that you're interested in someone else to the point that you want to be with them. After telling her, these are your options. 1. Break up. 2. Discuss being in an open relationship. Both you and your partner have to be fully on board. This is the option that requires the most trust and communication. It works for lots of people, but only if all parties are in, 100%. And 3. Stay together. At the end of the day, which one you choose will depend on your girlfriend. You know where you stand. It's her turn to make the choice to stay with you or not. I realise this requires a huge amount of vulnerability, but I promise it's worth it in the long run. Good luck. Best. Another Canadian Anonymous.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
No, not that. I've just seen Twitter.
Oh, what's going on?
Jacob Rees-Mogg has just submitted a letter of no confidence in Theresa May.
Oh, God. It's a Christmas miracle.
Oh, God. He's my local MP. Well, he was like my home local MP.
Is he Somerset East or something? West?
East, but yeah, Somerset East, I think. Oh, f*** a duck.
Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Grown-up Walter from the Dennis the Menace comics.
He submitted a vote of no confidence against Theresa May.
Yep. He's called for a vote of no confidence. Yes, so the Financial Times.
God, he's such a backstabbing little rat, isn't he?
Just look at him. Look at his little smug prick face.
Yeah, and his double-breasted jacket.
Oh, Jesus. Like, it's half of it is clearly an act, and it's just like infuriating that it works. Well, I mean, the whole government's fallen apart like today after. So for those of you who are, well, this is dated the episode, but we're recording this the day when half of the cabinet resigned because of the Brexit deal that's just been agreed, and it looks like now everything's falling apart. The idea of Jacob Rees-Mogg as being possible prime minister is just. God, I'm so sick of Brexit, Dan. I'm just sick of hearing about it every morning.
Where did you see this thing on Twitter then?
It's
through
trending.
which media stream?
It was trending. UK trends. Rees-Mogg's trending. Brexit shambles is trending. Jacob Rees is trending. Brexit chaos is trending. In fact, the only thing that isn't about Brexit that is in the UK trending tab is that the John Lewis advert has been released for Christmas. I'm just so sick of it. Are you not sick of it? Like, every fucking morning I wake up and Radio 4 is on, and it's just every day relentless incompetence or malice or ignorance and just people like old white dudes almost invariably seeming to have no clue what they're doing but refusing to step aside for people that might actually know what they're doing. God, imagine if Ed Miliband had just won. Coalition of Chaos. Or this.
Yeah, it doesn't really put you in the season, does it?
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. We're f***ed. You're all getting coal for Christmas this year, but particularly you, Jacob Rees-Mogg. You're going to get a punch to the face with a fist that contains coal. And it's still better than you deserve.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's from one mess to another. Right, what's your take on this relationship, Dan?
I think, we should always be a part of the EU. There's something that
I meant our anonymous crisis.
Yes. So I think the points that have been raised by our fantastic readership are very true. As another Canadian Anonymous says, as I see it, you have three major options, but all of them begin with telling your current girlfriend that you're interested in someone else to the point that you want to be with them. Before just even that, you need to talk to your current girlfriend. You need to have this conversation.
Agreed.
Honesty is best policy, and then work things out from there. I think the kind of the options that are described, breaking up, staying together, or having an open relationship, are all perfectly plausible. You'll have to figure out which one works best for you. It is a relationship, and there are two people, but you can only have full control and kind of insight into how you feel. So I think that's something that's really important. If you feel that something isn't right and you feel that something has to change, then you need to instigate that and explain why. That's not to say that, you're not trying to do it out of malice or spite, but you've got to do what's right for you. But hopefully, by talking to your current girlfriend or your current partner, you can come to something that's more mutually understandable. You never know. Maybe your girlfriend's in exactly the same position, but that you both haven't spoken about it. So maybe talking about it will make things easier, and you might be able to pursue the route of an open relationship, or maybe saying, actually, you know what, maybe this long distance thing isn't going to work. I think what must happen is that you need to chat with your current girlfriend and have a see where things stand.
I'd offer a slightly alternative position in that I think you should not do anything about anything until you spent a significant, by which I mean like a week of time, with your girlfriend in the same place.
Yes.
I feel like it is inappropriate to... Because basically what you're doing is comparing the reality of this new person to your mental image of your current girlfriend. And the current situation with your girlfriend may be very different to your mental image. I feel like you have to compare the reality with the reality. And obviously you're not going to get the two people in the same place and like choose like it's a game show. That would be simultaneously amazing and awful. I just feel like it's disrespectful to your partner to basically rock up because you're only ever going to talk about this in person, right? You're never going to break up with someone over the phone. Never, ever, ever do that. They deserve to see you face to face. I think it's improper to turn up, be like, "Hey, how's it going? By the way, I want to someone else. I think we should end what we're doing." I feel like you have to spend time with them and remind yourself this is actually what the relationship is like. Because you're not going to be long distance forever. You're not signing up to being in a long distance relationship with your current girlfriend forever. You're signing up to hopefully being in a relationship with them forever if you're happy together. But that doesn't mean it's going to be long distance. Hopefully you're going to spend more time together. I would say don't do anything about this. I'd say possibly this is just a very British thing, and it's what I've done in relationships before, is just to stiff up a lip it and be like, carry on until you've spent time with your girlfriend and you have enough information to be like, this is how I feel about my current relationship. Am I really happy? Do I really want to be with this girl? Because if the answer is no, then go ahead and do something about it. You have to be true to yourself. But I feel like in order for that to be a fair decision and to have enough information to make that decision, you have to spend time with them before you do so. It's a tough one. I mean, because I've been in long-distance relationships for most of the time I've been in relationships. And yeah, you do come across people who are like, oh, you're attractive. But then, like, I have to admit, I've never been in the situation where I've been like, I'd rather be with this person than my current girlfriend. So in a sense, I can empathize, but I also can't. I'm also just an outrageously loyal person when it comes to relationships, and I stick around longer than I probably should. In that at least two of my past relationships, of my three long-term relationships, I should have ended before they did. So take my advice with a pinch of salt.
Well, there we go. I think that's some pretty decisive thoughts there for an honor goose. I hope everything goes well, and conversations and things.
I believe we have another crisis though for our readers to write into.
Oh, we do. Yes, we do. So we have an email here from a reader since the pilot, second-time writer, Anonymous, another one of them. They begin, Dear Messrs. Moore and Clark. I'd say that my issue is at least twofold, so I'll start with the most immediately pressing. I'm currently about 2 months into my mandatory exchange year from a university where I'm already an international student, and I'm experiencing loneliness, the magnitude of which I haven't seen before. I'm signed up with several associations and I meet with cross-country skiing teams several times a week, but there's such a void of real connection. To add some context, my home campus is located in a small town and has a student population of about 300, meaning that for most of my time at university, it's nigh on impossible to avoid getting to know at least some people. This then stands in stark contrast to where I'm currently studying, considering that the student population here is about 133 times the size, hovering around 40,000. The city is even worse, going from walking around on a quaint little street in a town of about 29,000 to have to navigate 6-lane roads in a city of more than 2 million. I also find that, because of the size, students here are much less willing to stand around and talk after class instead of scurrying off somewhere, not to be seen until a week later. Further, exacerbating the issue is that because I'm on exchange, I'm taking classes at several different departments, which inconveniently enough have buildings that all seem to be located on different ends of the campus. Sometimes the walk between classes takes 10 minutes, which means if I don't really have time to stand around and chat either. I guess I'm not really used to being forced to actively plan and reach out to people in order to hang out, causing me to stay at home instead. Being home then causes me to get even more sad and lonely, which doesn't improve my chances on my willingness to greet people. There is also quite a lot of social anxiety going on. To make matters worse still, my girlfriend studies at the university on the other side of the country, that country being Canada. It's really far. And the week I spent visiting her is the happiest I've been all semester. This university wasn't my first choice either, and I'm having serious trouble disregarding the what ifs that come up when I think about the other universities I could have applied for if you'd put higher up on my list. This email is really quite a long one, so there are three kind of other issues here. The first one is that Anonymous is they're suddenly finding. I suddenly find myself unable to find friends, mostly because of the change in size of the student population of the campus in the city. The second is they get anxious by the prospect of writing papers, and I think that this issue is stemming from they're absolutely scared, face terrified about the future. They say, I know that I'm pretty much going to have to go for grad school in order to craft myself a career. Political science isn't the most immediately marketable degree. And I'm also pretty certain I want to move in with my girlfriend and work for a year first. That part isn't too bad. The problem is rather they have no idea what they want to do. And the third issue, Anonymous thinks that my self-worth is to an extent tied up in getting into the same elite universities that I imagine my peers will get into, but I don't know what I want to study. I can't pay for any degree, and I'm increasingly worried that my undergraduate degree won't get me employed anywhere.
Okay, so to recap then, they are unhappy at their current university because it's a massive change in size.
Yes.
Campus, city, basically finding it difficult to find friends. They are anxious about sort of writing papers and sort of suffering from almost kind of like writer's block about like being able to write, I presume they mean essays and things like that. Yes. And on top of all that, their self-worth is tied to getting into universities that they perceive their peers are going to get into, but Anonymous doesn't think they're going to get into them. And so there's a huge amount of anxiety about what Anonymous is doing, how they are doing it, and what they're going to do in the future. That's probably the TLDR of all the TLDRs. So
that's quite a big one, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So if dear reader, if you have thoughts on what Anonymous can do, I feel like should we make this kind of more general in like how do you determine, how do you make friends on a campus? Like how do you make friends as being a functional adult? How do you get your work done, and how do you decide what you're going to do? And do you get anxious about your peers doing better than you? I feel like that's basically the theme, isn't it? So if you have thoughts on that, dear reader, send us an email, spongyelectric@gmail.com, and put in the subject line crisis response. And we will read out the best answers in next week's episode, except it's not going to be next week, it's going to be in 2 weeks' time because I'm in Berlin next week.
Yes.
So it's 2 weeks to get your response in. And if you find yourself in crisis, you can also send us an email at that same email address, spongyelectric@gmail.com, with crisis corner in the subject line. And we will anonymise everything that's sent in and read them out in this corner.
Absolutely. So it's quite a busy day for Simon and I this one. So we're going to, given that was a hefty crisis, and we're looking forward to hearing your responses next in 2 weeks' time. We're going to jump straight ahead to our fan fiction because we haven't had some for a while. We had one last week from the wonderful Dan Hanvey.
The one, the only.
But the previous weeks before, there'd been a bit of a shortage. So we're going to go straight in with Chapter 2 of Dan's A Rather Strange Adventure. This picks up from last week's episode. So if you haven't heard that one, we urge you to have a listen.
To briefly recap that, we were at home. A bunch of characters from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy have just appeared in your living room. I think was basically what happened. Okay, right. In which case,
sit back, get comfy, Simon.
I shall. Hang on, let me just rearrange.
I'm just going to have a quick nip of some more bitters, and then we're ready to go.
Dan's new favourite drink.
Here we go. A Rather Strange Adventure, Chapter 2. Unconsciousness is rather like being in a foreign country and not speaking a word of the language. Everything is happening around you, you're part of it, and yet you can exert no control over the situation whatsoever. However, unlike being in a foreign country, being unconscious gives you a tremendous sense of peace and calm, with no cares in the world. Which is just as well, since whilst Dan's subconscious was discussing the benefits of not being able to influence the world, his frontal cortex was waking him and his conscious mind up to the fact that 3 characters from fiction now stood in his living room.
Oh, okay. So sorry, that's really interesting that like we know that they are fictional characters.
Yes.
Rather than us being in their universe. Okay. I'm on board.
A still shocked Dan was helped to his feet by the equally shocked Simon. He had not passed out as his colleague has, but they was pretty certain that his heart had not just skipped a few beats, but taken part in a cardiac hurdle, followed by an aortic long jump. He stared at the visitors, dumbfounded, his brain doing black backflips. What? Who? What? Came out of his mouth. The two-headed man stared back at him. Oh great, another ape man. This one can't even speak, huffed the strange red-robed visitor. His other head nodded in agreement. Simon blinked. Is that like is that a shout out to My Dad Wrote a Porno?
Simon blinked.
Simon blinked. Ooh.
Oh, that's funny.
The wiry-haired man strode forward towards them. Hello, he said warmly. Sorry to burst in like this, but we're still working some things out. I'm Ford, by the way, Ford Prefect. Dan, by this point, had regained enough of his mental faculties to recognise the name. Ford Prefect? He shakily asked. As in Ford Prefect from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of... Beetlejuice. The wiry-haired man stepped back, surprised. Yes, he said, his eyes darting between the two friends. How did you know that? Hang on, supposed Simon, his subconsciousness beating back the absurdity of the situation for the time being, allowing him to speak. If you're Ford, and you, he gestured at the metal robot, are Marvin, then you're Zaphod Beeblebrox, ex-president of the galaxy, interrupted Zaphod proudly. I see you've heard of me. Kind of, stammered Dan. But I thought you were fictional. Zaphod started. Fictional? What do you mean, like out of a book? Exactly, replied Simon, his subconscious now straining to stop himself from being overwhelmed by the strangeness of it all. From a series of books called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. At this, Ford's eyes widened. You mean this book? He held out the black book in his hands, the calming words facing upwards. Simon nodded. Never mind the book, interjected Zaphod sharply. Marvin, we're meant to be beaming to the ice cream parlour at the centre of the galaxy, and I don't see any regalian ripple anywhere. Where are we?
Just inventing alien words now. Yeah. Like bodega style.
For the first time, the robot spoke. His voice was low and languorous, and Simon and Dan both felt their energy draining as they listened to him. Oh, sure, he droned. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about how I'm feeling. Brain the size of planet means I must be able to handle dimension transfers. Marvin, Ford gently interrupted, do you know where we are? I've absolutely no idea, replied the robot. All I asked was for the ship's computer to try beaming us up for ice cream using the improbability drive's matter transfer module, and whilst it was doing the calculations, I told it I was feeling bored. All 5 of them jumped as another voice filled the room. The TV had turned itself on, was displaying a white screen of scrolling numbers, and a cheery voice now emanated from the speakers. That's right, fellas, chirped the voice. Eddie, the shitboard computer here. It's taken me a bit longer than I thought to crunch those matter transfer calculations, so I've shifted your reality to keep you happy until I'm done, which will be in 2 minutes, by the way. Zaphod had strode over the TV and was now beginning to talk at it. What do you mean, shifted our reality, as in teleported us out of the ship? Not quite, said Dan shakily, not quite believing what he was about to say. I think you exist in a parallel universe to ours, one where yours is real. In our universe, you only exist in fiction, but you've been moved out of your universe into ours. He's right, folks, exclaimed the TV Eddie cheerfully. I use the improbability drive to swap fiction and reality, depending on your point of view. I just need to do it again, then I can send you on. Just step inside the circle, and you can go. A glowing circle of light, about 2 meters in diameter, had appeared on the floor behind Ford. Better be quick, guys, cried the cheery voice. This'll only last a few seconds. As Marvin and Zaphod stepped backwards into the circle, Ford let out a word that sounded like "Frow," and spun around to get into the circle. As he did so, the book in his hand caught on a pile of novels at the edge of the table, knocking them into the circle. Dan saw that the top of the pile had been Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which he had recently reread. It now lay inside the circle, glowing slightly with the same light of the luminous outline. As the white light filled the room once more, Dan put his hand into the circle to save the book. Simon had grabbed his other arm and was trying to pull him back, but the absurdity of the situation had hit him and turned his limbs to jelly. As the light reached its luminous crescendo, both men tasted metal again. Then everything went black. Simon awoke, his face pressed into the floor. This time he hadn't been so lucky with passing out. His head was pounding with such ferocity it sounded like he was on a train. After a few seconds of confusion, he realised that although his head was pounding, he was also on a train. This part of Simon's brain that dealt with rationality threw its hands up in despair, turned its back on his psyche and started to write its memoirs instead. Simon, groaned Dan. What happened? Simon was about to answer, but then he stopped himself. The voice sounded like Dan, but something was different.
The madman, he went and did it! I know what this is!
I'm not entirely sure, he shed, sitting up. But why do you have... He stopped himself. Dan was sat on the floor in front of him, rubbing his temple, but it wasn't Dan. He was wearing a long black robe, a pointed hat, and his hair was longer than normal. He then realised what was wrong about his voice. Dan, Simon quavered, "You're a girl." Dan was staring in astonishment at Simon. "So are you. How is that possible? What the hell's going on?" he gibbered. Simon looked around at him to try and understand what was going on. They were in a train compartment, big enough for 6 people, with a door leading onto a corridor. They both scrambled to their feet as they heard voices outside, stumbling slightly as the train shook. "Yeah, I heard he was caught last week, found at the John Rutter Memorial Home for Injured Swans." Well, he'd blend in, wouldn't he? The owner of the voice appeared at their compartment door. It was a teenage woman with long black hair. She was accompanied by another woman with slight acne. "Hello," said the first woman. "I'm Romilda, and this is Eloise. I'm not sure we've met. What house are you in?" The Hogwarts Express shrieked a piercing whistle as Dan and Simon stared at one another, dumbstruck. End of chapter 2.
I love it!
So we have just met Romilda Vane and Eloise... Is it Eloise Midgen, I think?
You're the person who knows more than I do.
I think it's Eloise Midgen. She had bad acne. And Romilda Vane, who is the one who tries to make Harry take the
love potion.
Love spiked, yeah.
So you have been gender bent and are going to Hogwarts.
I mean, we've both been gender bent.
Are we both female?
Yeah, because I said, so are you.
Oh my god, we've been gender bent and we're going to Hogwarts as girls.
So we're the best, we're 2 young witches. The bitchy witches on that.
Oh my god, yes. So I feel like this chapter and the previous chapter have been fantastic setup, but I want to hear more now. I want to know the female adventures of the Wikicast hosts at Hogwarts.
Of Simone and Daniela.
Yes, Dan V, you madman, you actually did it.
This is super.
Incredible. Wow. Okay, I am so happy right now. I am so happy. The prospect of this story thrills me.
I cannot wait. Dan, we need the next instalment as quick as we can.
We do. Okay, right. Well, whilst Dan V is going to start writing that, we should probably recap this episode and we need to get on with our bloody lives.
Absolutely.
So, Dan, what have we learned about this week?
Well, Simon, this week we've learnt about Angostura bitters.
We have.
I gave a free sampling as well, live on the podcast, which was maybe a bad idea, but there we go. I also tried some of the fantastic Theo's Ghost Chili Chocolate that was sent in to us from a loving fan. So thank you very much for that. We then spoke about my choral pieces to recommend for the week. So I believe that was Belulalo by Francis Potts. That's an excellent recording by Voces 8. And I also mentioned the Richard Rodney Bennett Missa Brevis, the Gloria specifically. All of these will be found in the show notes. And then you reviewed... Oh, we had a chat about Louis Theroux.
We had a chat about Louis Theroux.
His documentary.
I reviewed 2001, seeing that again. We talked about remembrance stuff generally, and we had quite the spicy. I have opinions on this week's crisis, and then a fantastic setup. This has been set up for a home run by Dan V. The gender bent adventures of Simon and Dan at Hogwarts.
Absolutely.
I am honestly thrilled by this.
What a treat.
Well, that's all for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us on your podcasting service of choice. You can like us on Facebook, and if you'd like to see our faces, check out our YouTube channel, Spongy and Electric.
Your favourite cocktails, wizard and witching spell recommendations, and other thoughts on the show can be sent to us at spongyelectric@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Join us again for another tumble down the wiki rabbit hole,
And we'll see you next time.
How are you,
Right.
are you feeling a bit woozy? How's the alcohol affecting
That's
you?
fine. Oh, wait, I only had a couple of little tipples. It's not.
Yeah, but you have the constitution and body of a bird.
Well, this is true. I actually am quite good at holding my. I'm actually quite good at holding my drink. Yeah.
Little bird boy, come on.
Little bird boy, little fluttering away. Chirp, 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 motherfucker.